You couldn't be here if stars hadn't exploded, because the elements, the carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, iron, all the things that matter for evolution weren't created at the beginning of time. They're created in the nuclear furnaces of stars, and the only way they can get into your body is if the stars were kind enough to explode. So forget Jesus. The stars died so that you could be here today. Okay? And anyway.
So when people ask me if a God created the universe, I tell them that the question itself makes no sense. Time didn't exist before the Big Bang, so there is no time for God to make the universe in. It's like asking for directions to the edge of the Earth. The Earth is a sphere. It doesn't have an edge, so looking for it is a futile exercise. We are each free to believe
what we want. And it's my view that the simplest explanation is, there is no God. No one created the universe, and no one directs our fate. This leads me to a profound realization. There is probably no heaven, and no afterlife either.
Crucify him! Yes, crucify him!
You know, people come to me all the time and they say, Bill, I'm with you. I saw your movie. We're right here. You know, I don't believe in that crazy biblical nonsense, just the central story. Oh, you mean the stupidest part? I mean, come on. God had a son. I mean, time out right there. God had a son? He's powerful beyond all imagination. He exists in a realm above time and space, but he has kids?
The idea that science is a religion, when in fact science is interested in evidence and is prepared to change its mind if contrary evidence comes in, that's very, very different from a religion. As Lawrence said earlier, in science we constantly open to the possibility of having to change our minds, and science proceeds by progressive refinement and changing minds. And there are things that I suppose will never be disproved, things like that the planets orbit the sun. That's never going to change.
God had a son, and he said to him, Jesus, I'm sending you down to Earth on a suicide mission. But don't worry, they can't kill you because you're really me. But it is going to hurt for a few days. I'm not going to lie about that, son. There's about 3 days you're going to hate me.
Crucify him! Yes, crucify him!
I don't think that the fact of evolution is ever going to be disproved. It's always going to be true that we are cousins of chimpanzees and of monkeys and of kangaroos. So there are certain things that we definitely know to be true. The evidence is so overwhelming that in Stephen Gould's words, to object would be perverse. But so-called religious truths have absolutely no evidence going for them whatsoever. One of the main reasons why people are religious is because they're persuaded by the apparent design of living things. And that's completely destroyed by Darwin. If you actually read any book by a biologist about evolution, it's hard to see how you could fail to be persuaded of it. I mean, the evidence is just absolutely pat. There's no doubt about it. It's not a controversial issue. It's completely certain. It's as certain as the fact that the Earth and the other planets orbit the Sun.
Jesus, here's the plan. I, God the
Deep,
Father,
profound ignorance. It sounds very laudable to teach the controversy, to teach both theories, but there aren't two theories. There's only one theory around. There's only one game in town as far as serious science is concerned. Of course, you get negative reactions from creationists, but who cares about creationists? They don't know anything.
You have written that God is a psychotic delinquent invented by mad, deluded people.
No, I didn't say quite that. I said something rather better than that.
Oh, well, please tell us what you said. Please tell us what you said.
Well, I would have to read it from the book.
No, please.
The God of the Old Testament is arguably the most unpleasant character in all fiction. Jealous and proud of it, a petty, unjust, unforgiving control freak, a vindictive, bloodthirsty ethnic cleanser, a misogynistic, homophobic, racist, infanticidal, genocidal, filicidal, pestilential, megalomaniacal, sadomasochistic, capriciously malevolent bully.
So that's what you think of God?
Yeah.
How about if people believed in a God of infinite lovingness and kindness and forgiveness and generosity, sort of like the modern day God? Why spoil it for them? Why not just let them have their fun and enjoy it?
I mean, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody. I write a book, people can read it if they want to. Now, you raise the question, doesn't it all have to be working before it'll work, it's any good? How could we bump along for millions of years with only half an eye? That's a bit of a fallacy, because actually only a quarter of an eye, only 1/100th of an eye is better than nothing. And it's easy to see why that would be. You start by being able to tell whether there's a shadow, whether it's night or day. So already the animal can tell the direction from which light is coming and the direction from which a shadow is coming. Now the cup can steadily and slowly over evolutionary time close over. A lens is not difficult to arrange. Any old chunk of set of transparent gubbins will do the job better than a pinhole. So once again we've got a slow, gradual improvement. Any old lump of gubbins, transparent, is better than nothing, and then the lens simply improves its shape gradually. It's got to be gradually. Every step has got to be a slight improvement over the previous one. You get a lens. It is, of course, true that humans, for example, and I mentioned hawks before, see much better than octopuses. So in spite of the fact that our eye has this design flaw, we have better eyes because natural selection comes along afterwards and cleans up after the original mess that was made by this fundamental design flaw. Natural selection came along afterwards and made all sorts of little titivations. We have better eyes because natural selection comes along afterwards and cleans up after the original mess that was made by this fundamental design flaw. Natural selection came along afterwards and made all sorts of little titivations which have the effect of giving us really rather good vision. And that happens again and again. It's very interesting that you get a bungle to begin with, and then rather than correct the bungle, what natural selection does is to come along and make little titivations, little tinkerings, which sort of make up for the mistake. And that's a very interesting phenomenon. So each step of the way that I told you about might have been hypothetical, but you can find an animal somewhere around the animal kingdom, a living animal, which actually does it. So I don't understand why you don't find that convincing.
Get back! Back! Get back! You! Get away! Make room!
Why do you torment him so?
Leave him! He is the Messiah!
He has done nothing wrong!
I think it's wrong to say that science has no ethical boundaries. Science is based on telling the truth, which is a really important ethical boundary.
Cut the ropes! You carry it! Come on, move! Move!
I think it's wrong to say that science has no ethical boundaries. Science is based on telling the truth, which is a really important ethical boundary. It's one that I don't think religion shares, in fact. I think that science can offer a better world, and in fact a world that's more ethical, and to the extent that you talk about morality, than you can get from books written based on Iron Age peasants who didn't even know the Earth orbited the sun.
It sounds very laudable to teach the controversy, to teach both theories, but there aren't two theories. There's only one theory around. There's only one game in town as far as serious science is concerned. Of course, you get negative reactions from creationists, but who cares about creationists? They don't know anything.
Get on with it!
Certainly you have encountered people, though, who are intimidated by your message, and that in some way it puts perhaps their own faith in doubt?
Well, why would anybody be intimidated by mere words? I mean, neither I nor any other atheist that I know ever threatens violence. We never threaten to fly planes into skyscrapers. We never threaten suicide bombs. We're very gentle people. All we do is use words to talk about things like the cosmos, the origin of the universe, evolution, the origin of life. What's there to be frightened of? The God of the Old Testament is arguably the most unpleasant character in all fiction. Jealous and proud of it, a petty, unjust, unforgiving control freak, a vindictive, bloodthirsty ethnic cleanser, a misogynistic, homophobic, racist, infanticidal, genocidal, filicidal, pestilential, megalomaniacal, sadomasochistic, capriciously malevolent bully.
So that's what you think of God?
Yeah. We're very gentle people. All we do is use words to talk about things like the cosmos, the origin of the universe, evolution, the origin of life. What's there to be frightened of? The God of the Old Testament is arguably the most unpleasant character in all fiction. Jealous and proud of it, a petty, unjust, unforgiving control freak, a vindictive, bloodthirsty ethnic cleanser, a misogynistic, homophobic, racist, infanticidal, genocidal, filicidal, pestilential, megalomaniacal, sadomasochistic, capriciously malevolent bully.
So that's what you think of God?
Yeah.
Save yourself if you are the
We're
king
very
of the
gentle
Jews.
people. All we do is use words to talk
Don't you
about
fear
things
God?
like the cosmos.
We received the same sentence. He did, but he has done no wrong. Remember me, Jesus. When you come as king,
I promise you. Today you will be in paradise.
with me.
Final question. How would you characterize the overarching public reaction to atheism?
Misunderstanding and really missing an awful lot of what's valuable, because if you're an atheist, you know, you believe this is the only life you're going to get.
Saved others, let him save himself. Forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they're doing.
It's a precious life, it's a beautiful life, it's something that we should live to the full, to the end of our days, whereas if you're religious and you believe that there's another life somehow, that means you don't live this life to the full because you think you're going to get another one. That's an awfully negative way to live a life. Being an atheist frees you up to live this life properly, happily and fully.
Forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they're doing.
I'm open to anything for which there's evidence. Show me a God and I will believe in him. If Jesus Christ comes down from the sky during the halftime show of this Sunday's Super Bowl and turns all the nachos into loaves and fishes, and well, I'll think two things. First, how dare he interrupt Madonna? She is gonna be pissed. And two, oh, look at that, I was wrong. There he is. My bad, praise the Lord. But that's not going to happen.
Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, even though he dies, he will live.
I mean, come on. God had a son. I mean, time out right there. God had a son? He's powerful beyond all imagination. He exists in a realm above time and space, but he has kids? Oh, you mean the stupidest part? I mean, come on. God had a son. I mean, time out right there. God had a son?
resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, even though he dies,